Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to some more of that Division 2. Now, without further ado, as your friendly neighborhood raging saying,
What?
let's get right into it. Today's video, I will be covering another build. Yep, it's another build video. And today I will be talking about something that's just a little bit different from what, the build types that I usually post. Now this build here, as you can see, is a critical damage skill hybrid build. So with that being said, as you can see right off the bat, you notice I'm not running my grenade launcher. I'm actually running the P-017 signature weapon launcher, meaning I'm running the technician skill tree. Now here is why. For one, and the main reason above all is that you do get an extra skill tier. So for example, what that means is, say like for me, I have 3 core attributes that are skill, but it's going to be 4 because the technician tree gives you an extra skill point. That skill, to get that skill, it costs 13 technician points. So I feel like that's the thing you should work on getting first, is that skill tier. In addition to that, another thing that will give you a skill tier is if you have the TDI card custom, which you do get in the season rank. Let me see which rank it is real quick. Where is it? Here it is. So at season rank 80, you'll get the TDI card custom. That's if you can't find it in the open world, because it can be found in the open world. It can be found in named item caches and all that. So yeah, if you don't want to wait till 80 to get the TDI card custom, you can always farm for it out in the open world. So let's get into the actual build. So for basically right off the bat, you see that I have a lot of max rolled red attributes. Now all of these attributes that are red, they are critical hit damage or critical hit chance. So as far as my critical hit damage and critical hit chance goes, it's like max spec basically. In addition, I do have mod slots that put on extra critical hit damage. So yeah, that's the first part of the build that is awesome. Now to get into it, we're gonna go through each of the 6 pieces of armor that I have. So for the mask, I'm running the Cheska, 1 piece of Cheska, because you get the plus 10% critical hit chance. I have 1 Wyvern Wear for the 10% skill damage, 1 Grupo for 15% critical hit damage. I have 1 Sokolov because I specialize in SMGs. And also I have BTSU data gloves, which I'll get into that later, why I'm running BTSU data gloves. And I'm also running Murakami for the skill duration. And as you can see, this is a perfect roll with a skill tier and max critical hit chance and maxed critical hit damage. So now here's where the 2 pieces that stick out the most is the exotics. Now, since this is a hybrid build, I put on BTSU data gloves for the skill side, because for BTSU data gloves, if we look at the card right here, whenever you detonate your hive, it refreshes your skill cooldowns and it grants overcharge for 15 seconds. But if you're at skill tier 6, the effect will apply to your allies, so like whoever you're playing with, it'll apply. But if it's just you and you're not at skill tier 6, then basically it's just going to apply to you. and then it has a cooldown of 120 seconds. So that ties into my weapons, which is the MP7 Future Perfect. So basically the idea of running these two pieces of weapons is whenever the Future Perfect skill is on cooldown, or Future Perfect talent, excuse me. So yeah, whenever that overcharge from that talent is on cooldown, you're gonna want to detonate your hive, and that's gonna give you that extra damn it, what's the word? That extra longevity. There we go. That extra longevity to having overcharge. Now for backfire, which is more on the damage side exotic. So the player card, you can pause the video and read it, but if you don't want to read it, I'll read it to you. You get 200% critical hit damage. That's the maximum for the stacks, but you get +1 critical hit damage when you're hitting an enemy. So it's just like obliterate, but on steroids, and you're guaranteed. And you're as long as you hit someone, you're guaranteed. But that exotic also feeds into my book bag talent, which is Bloodsucker, because when you reload with backfire, you apply a 10-second bleed to yourself. So you're gonna want to run Bloodsucker, which is gonna add 10% stack, 10% armor whenever you kill an enemy. Or if you want to go to distance, you can put Liquid Engineer, which has perfect Bloodsucker, and you get an extra 2%, so you'll be getting 12% bonus damage on kill. And plus, that's like the Belfry Armory, and I think the first, for having one piece, you get like, I think it's armor regen, I think, for one piece. Let me see what it is, if I have it. Yeah, so you'll get armor regen. So if you want to put on Liquid Engineer and run Liquid Engineer with like damage instead of armor, you'll add, that's one way to add a lot more survivability to this build. And for my second talent, I'm running skilled, so whenever I get a kill with my skills, there's a 25% chance to reset my skill cooldowns. So basically my drone, I'm running drone, my drone goes out, it kills an enemy, on death that enemy has a 25% chance to refill my skill. So this is going to help out a lot with helping to refresh my restore hive. So whenever it's out, and I'm healing, and I'm getting pretty low, the skilled talent is going to help out a lot in refreshing it so that I can keep it out longer. So with that being said, I'm going to go to the shooting range just to show you when I'm using backfire how powerful my damage can get. Okay, so let's put it on. Let's give us an elite enemy. So right here we got an elite enemy. Difficulty is on challenging. So I actually want to test it out on heroic just to see how it was hit against heroic, because this build was put together like a few days ago. So let's go to an elite enemy. Okay, so as you can see, this is on heroic difficulty, and I'm just eating his armor off. And as you can see, I'm having that bleed damage applied, and that's why you want to have Bloodsucker on, because Bloodsucker is going to help dampen that effect. And also Bloodsucker helps so that I don't have to use any bleed resistant mods. I could just use those mods to spec into critical hit damage. So as you can see on heroic, when you're using backfire, it's the enemies, the elite enemies are absolutely no problem at all. So let's go for a named enemy. And even named enemies are just being demolished by this build. And mind you, I don't even have full damage spec on this build. So imagine if I had a build that was full spec for damage, these guys on heroic wouldn't stand a chance. So if we go ahead and switch to the MP7, as you can see, the MP7 is not that good. So if you're playing on heroic, you're gonna want to have this backfire out. So yeah, that's the damage aspect of, you know, of this build. So to test it out, the skill part, which is the main part of this build, where I was talking about how the BTSU data gloves, in addition to the TDI card custom, how all of this can synergize and create a very powerful skill build. But if you want to get the most out of this build, you're gonna want to find a P90, because in my opinion, the P90 is like the best SMG, non-exotic, non-named SMG that you're gonna want to have. If you can get it max rolled with critical hit damage, in addition to in sync, because with in sync, if you hit an enemy with a skill, you get 15% weapon damage, and if it's vice versa, you get another 15% skill damage. But if you can proc both of those talents both of those parts of in sync, you'll get 30% weapon and skill damage, which is really, really powerful. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch to the MP7, and I'm gonna take this guy out. So there it is, he's down. Alright, so he's down. I'm gonna deploy my skill. Alright, so gonna try and take out this enemy here. Alright. There we go. Okay, so my skills are overcharged. So there's no one here, but I'm gonna show you just an example of what I'm talking about. So as you can see, my skill, Future Perfect, is overcharged. Now, as you can see, overcharge just ran out. Now, here's BTSU data gloves. When your overcharge runs out, you're going to detonate your hive. And now that you've got, you know, your skills are overcharged again, you're going to put down the hive and you're going to heal. Now, while your hive is healing you, you have your drone going out and killing enemies, having a 25% chance to reset the hive. So while all this is going out, you have your overcharge, which is pretty much halfway done, almost there, as you can see. And meanwhile, that's halfway done. When it finishes, your BTSU data gloves are going to be halfway done with their cooldown. So when that's halfway on cooldown, you're gonna take out your MP7 and you're gonna reactivate Future Perfect. So by the time Future Perfect runs out with that overcharge, BTSU data gloves is once again up and running. So you keep repeating the cycle and repeating the cycle and repeating the cycle. Now, to get into other variants that I run with this build, say you don't want and you want to go for more damage, what you can do is, what I do is I put on Firm Handshake, which gives me status effects. And I mainly put these gloves on when I'm running Jammer, since a lot of times for some reason I tend to have this thing to run into Black Tusk a lot, which Jammer is perfect, the best skill you can use against Black Tusk, especially if you have Technician on. Best skill you can use against Black Tusk. So you can always run the Firm Handshake, which is another Sokolov, so you're getting another 15% critical hit damage. And if we go to my stats, my critical hit damage with backfire is going to clock in at 180 with 58 critical hit chance. So I'm getting 200% from the talent of backfire plus 180.4% critical hit damage. That's 380.4% critical hit damage. And as you saw on Heroic, when I tested it out, it melted named enemies. It melted elite enemies. So it's ridiculous on Heroic, especially against elites. So imagine against a red bar on Heroic or a veteran on Heroic, there's no chance in hell, like Vince McMahon theme song. And if I go to my MP7, I'm clocking in at 195.4 critical hit damage, 56 percent. When it comes to crit builds, you're gonna want to clock in at about somewhere around 50 to 55%, just so most of your shots can proc that critical hit damage. Yeah, having 60 is good, but your critical hit damage may not be as strong as, you know, this or where you want it to, which is perfectly fine if, you know, that's what you want to run. So yeah, and if I put on BTSU data gloves, and we look at the stats, I'm going to be clocking in at 155 critical hit damage. So I'm losing a lot of critical hit damage, but it's backfire. So with that 200% critical hit damage, I'm still clocking in at 355% critical hit damage. So if you're running BTSU data gloves on Heroic, backfire is going to be a must. And if we switch to my MP7, still clocks in at 170, but as I showed you in the firing range, it still wasn't enough to take down, you know, it wasn't hitting hard enough against elites or, you know, named enemies for that matter. So yeah, just a really cool build that I just put together that I did want to show off to you guys. And in fact, I'm actually going to put on, no, I'm going to keep BTS running for the time being, because I am going to be more on the skill side. So as you can see, actually, here's where the TDI card custom comes on before I cut the video off. I have an extra skill tier, so if you have the TDI card custom pistol equipped, my skill tier is going to go to 5. And also with BTSU data gloves, the reason why my hive is recharging so fast is for each skill tier that you have, you get plus 15% hive skill haste, so that's also good. So yeah, that's just wanted to show off this build to you guys. So if any of you want to try it out, or try out something similar to it, you know, put your own taste on it, which is going to be, you know, really good, please show me what you got. So with that being said, NE, my signature outro. Remember, rage out and peace out. And speaking of out, while you're defending America from the Black Tusk and whoever wants to destroy it, rage out and peace out. And speaking of out, I'm out, and I will see y'all on the next video or whenever I stream. Have a good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Later.